The first step for the TVOC Wizard is creating a project. Choose a destination which you like and create a folder. In this folder, your data will be copied and your results will also be saved. After creating your folder and your destination, choose your data and drag and drop it here in the settings menu. The samples, calibrations, response factor, and validation mix samples will be loaded. And now you have to classify which data is which. The calibration is used annually for the limit of decision test. The sample is your real emission samples, and the response factor is used to calculate the amount of VOC or SVOCs in your FOG sample. I have to choose it here too for the VOC data. And everything is according to your classification. You can proceed the workflow. Now we're here in the optional calibration tool. It is just for you to give you an impression how well your calibration curve is and if your limit of decision is within bounds or not. This step is completely optional. It's just a helpful guide to remind you how well your system is performing. The next step in the workflow is to calculate the response factor used for the VD8 to 78 calculation for the VOC or FOG samples. As a standard for the VOC samples, toluene is used. For the standard for the SVOCs, so the FOG samples, hexadecane is used. Proceed the workflow with the process method. In this process method, the peaks will be integrated, and also in this step, the response factor will be calculated. Finish it, and below you see the results. After that, proceed the workflow. The results will be saved and used for further calculations. In this step, you see the validation mix. It's basically a mixture to show how well your system is performing. For example, these substances, orthoxylene and nonane, should be baseline separated. If this is the case, here you can see the selectivity of a system is within the bounds of the VD8 to 78. And also, the recovery is a crucial part of the VD8 to 78. And to calculate the recovery in the process method, it's the same. We're integrating and also calculating everything with the peak quantifier. And with a simple traffic light system, at one glance you can see is the substance of your validation mix is within the bounds of the VDA or not. Green is really good, yellow, the deviation is a little bit higher, and red would be out of bounds. At this point, we do not stop the workflow. You can measure and evaluate your samples, but it is just to know you that you have to take action. Another important function for the validation mix is it is also a retention index marker. Here at the top, you see those numbers. This is retention index. We have from C7 heptane to C16 hexadecane, and therefore we can calculate the retention index of the validation mix. And this is used later in the library search to speed up the library search. So for the TVOC Wizard, with every evaluation round, you have to evaluate also the validation mix. Let's proceed the workflow. Now we're going to the samples, the VOC samples. This is the chromatogram of the overlay of the 4 samples. We now proceed. Going to the process method. Now you can see there's a little bit more to it. This is the brain of the TVOC Wizard, which 𝗵𝗵𝗾𝗀 and 𝗍𝗲𝗾 together developed. now we're here doing the deconvolution. Then we integrate it. After that, we make a NIST library search, and after that, the TVOC will calculate the amount of your analytes and write a report. Proceed the workflow, and now you're seeing the wizard doing its magic. The deconvolution and the embedded NEST library search. And this operation can be run with a single sample, but also as a batch, like we here do now with 4 samples at once. And the NIST is definitely sped up compared to the not embedded or not using retention index. There's also a multi-factor authentication. If the NIST entry of the mass spectrum is right and the retention index, it is very likely that this is your substance. So the validation part is also a crucial factor for TVOC Wizard. As you can see, everything here is now identified, but sometimes you can see the 𝗿𝗏 within all the trees, and we can, as you can see here, the peaks are deconvoluted, separate, identified. To save those results, if you're satisfied, just proceed the workflow. Everything will be saved, and the report is created in your folder. Now for the FOG samples. The workflow is the same, proceed there, and we have also the same process methods, the same steps for it, and then we can make also the calculations. First, always the deconvolution, then the NIST library search. So sometimes it happens that even deconvolution algorithm has its limits. And this 𝗏𝗶, this oil hill, or whatever this is sometimes the limit. But you're in charge as the operator. We can manually integrate it, and also we can describe it. Look for it. And now we see here the average mass spectrum of this 𝗏𝗶. And according to VDA, you classify it as a 𝗏𝗶 and then give the 5 intense mass of the mass spectra, and you can estimate the substance group of this 𝗏𝗶. So we run the process, but at a different step. Not the new NIST embedded, and we're not going to use the deconvolution algorithm because we would override it. We start at the unknown markers, and then we can, everything you see now is classified as a 𝗏𝗶 with the masses I wrote there, and this is also depicted in the report. We save it, and this is it. This is now the overlay of the reports. We jump right into it to give you an impression of it. The report itself is VDA 278 compliant, but fully adjustable according to your wishes. It has dynamic changing of the formulas, like for the amount. If you just use 100, then the amount would change accordingly. Also, the chemical name is here. If it is library match, also with the CIS number, and also the classification according to the substance group. This is all summed up here at the bottom, the total FOG value or VOC, if you have VOC samples, and the substance group, which can be fully adjustable by your wishes. And the reports are always stored in the folder for reports, and therefore you can change it, you can upload it into your LIMS system. It's full compliable with the most LIMS systems. The TVOC Wizard simplifies, automates your emission data analysis according to VDA 278. The report is fully compliant and therefore saves a lot of analyst time and so reduce cost per sample.